Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're so happy to see you again this morning. We are your hosts. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagon Creative Studio, although I notice this is saying I'm Jason Prigge, but don't believe it. That is a lie. I'm Tina. And this lovely girl, this is Kristin Odell of KLO LLC. Kristin, look at how tan and beautiful you look. I think you've got something to tell us.
Sun does a body good. I'm just saying. It does my body good. It probably doesn't do everybody's bodies good, but mine, I am rejuvenated.
Well, after a cold winter, there is nothing like vitamin D and being outside. And so do you want to tell us about your amazing adventure?
Yes. So friends, I had the great pleasure of traveling with some girlfriends out to Arizona 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember. To just get some days to like recover and rejuvenate. It's been a long school year and a long COVID year. And so we hit the road. We took the girls on the road. Well, I took my girlfriends on the road, not the girls on the road, but yeah, I went to Arizona. So this was like equal parts adventure and equal parts relaxation. So we would go out in the morning and do adventures like horseback riding or hot air balloon rides. And then in the afternoon, we would just lay by the pool and, sun ourselves.
So you said hot air balloon rides. It looks like this picture on the left, you are up in a hot air balloon, aren't you?
Yes. So the picture on the left there is in the hot air balloon. And actually, if you go back the picture of the desert with the sun, I took that from the hot air balloon as we were taking off. So we're like maybe 30 or 40 feet up in the air there taking off.
What was that like, Kristin?
It was, so first of all, it was the thing I was most excited about going out there. And it was like so relaxing. In my mind, I felt like, that like G pressure you feel when you're taking off in an airplane. And then that kind of like, little bump as like the tires grip the ground when you land in a plane. That is what I, for whatever reason, imagined in my mind. And it was nothing like that. It was like this smooth, very gradual takeoff. And then like, once you're in the air, you feel nothing. You float with the wind. So unless you like have a little bit of a direction change, you literally don't even feel you're moving. And then our landing was very smooth. And, we kind of like just dragged on the ground a little bit, but then we were down and I don't know, I would absolutely do it again. I thought it was amazing. I loved the views. Like you can see forever.
Yeah. Let's just put this back up. Like, look at how far you can see the mountains way, way, way behind you.
Right. So you can just like, it's so majestic and it's quiet. And, I didn't know a lot about hot air ballooning before going. So you're like in a basket and like, so Raisa and Audrey were with me and we're in this little like corral, our own little rectangle, the three of us. And then right next to us was another one with 3 people in. And then the pilot is in the middle. And then the other side had the same 2 little like stalls. And so it was so interesting because it's once the hot air balloon is full, it's like, get in. And then off you go like the Wizard of Oz where it just takes off up into the air.
And is it quiet? Is it like really peaceful? Or, what's the experience like? Is it windy?
It's you're floating with the wind, so there's no wind. And so whatever speed the wind is going is what you're going, but because you're with it, you don't hear it. So it's very quiet unless he is pulling the gas to like fill the hot air balloon.
Oh, so then you kind of have that growl, but there's no engine noise. There's no, wow. No. Wow. How long does that experience last? Is that like an hour?
It was an hour-long flight from the time we took off to the time that we landed. And then they do like appetizers and, you could have a mimosa after, like a celebration at the end. So we did that while they were, packing up the equipment, but it was an amazing experience and I would absolutely do it again. I thought it was so cool.
So you'd recommend it for viewers, if they have a chance to go on a hot air balloon ride, you would recommend it.
Absolutely. I was not, at no point was I ever like afraid or like scared up there. I thought it was so cool.
Well, Manitowoc has that annual balloon glow. Unfortunately, it was canceled last year because of COVID, but I do hear that there's planning in the works to actually hold it again this year. And so if somebody's interested, I'm sure that would be a great opportunity to connect with local hot air balloon enthusiasts and find out where they're floating even around here.
Right. And what the pilot shared with us is like the conditions in Arizona are ideal for floating hot air balloons because of the wind and because of the temperatures. It is more ideal. So I'm really curious about local hot air balloon people and like how often they get to fly.
Right. So that makes me wonder, are the local enthusiasts, do they actually fly out in Arizona or other places like that? I mean, because I've never like looked up and randomly saw a hot air balloon passing anywhere around here. So, does somebody know, can you fly a hot air balloon around here? I have seen those cool gliders, where it's kind of like an oblong shaped parachute with it seems like a powered vehicle of some kind, and a person just kind of hanging there tooling around in the sky. That looks amazing too.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I would want to do that thing, because then I would have to be trusted to drive it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Did you have any responsibilities when you were in the basket, or could you just enjoy?
Just enjoy it. My only responsibility is not to drop my cell phone over the edge.
And we're thankful you didn't, because otherwise we wouldn't see, I'm skipping ahead. Otherwise we wouldn't see these amazing pictures, right?
Right. So yeah, and then one morning we did a horseback riding excursion through the desert, which you can see these like amazing cactuses are so beautiful. And then we did some cowboy games, like you can see me lassoing the steer there, which it turns out like maybe I could develop a knack for that if I chose to do that in another life.
Because tell me, you were the one that was successful in roping him, right?
I was, yeah. And I don't it's a hard thing. I feel like cowboys make that look easy. So yeah, it was a fun thing to try, and, just to get the motion of getting that rope flying around your head and that kind of stuff. It's just kind of cool to do that. So
what do they tell you? How do they teach you to do that? I mean, because a rope is inherently limp, right? So is it based on how you're moving it how does it stiffen, and then how do you guide it? I have no concept of how this works.
This is a very stiff rope, and it is braided. So there are right-handed and left-handed ropes, because they have to be able to be stiff for you to be able to throw them. Okay. So if you think about like how a hose will only wind one direction, that is how that is. That's how that lassoing rope is it will only coil in a certain direction, and you can feel if it's not right, it will twist, or how a hose will like kink on itself. That's what it's like. So you can feel if it's not right. And then our guide, Nicole, who led our horseback riding, also, yes, Patty. Our guide that led our horseback riding also kind of taught us how to do these things. And so she, you have to get your wrist going and hold it a certain way and release it. Like, one of the hardest things is that you have to be able to release the rope and release your hold hand. So if you pull that picture up one more time, I don't think I'm doing a good job. So your left hand, you're holding that rope. And so you have to be able to release your right hand and your left hand at the same time, so the rope will actually go out of your left hand. Does that make sense?
But then yet you have to grasp it?
Eventually. So if it lands, then yes. Now, normally it would not be a metal stationary steer. It would be running, and I would probably be on a horse if I were really doing this. So the momentum of those two objects would tighten the rope around an animal if I was really trying to rope it. But yeah, there is a pullback if you get it. So yeah, but I never done, again, a totally new adventure.
And I have to say, Cowgirl Kristin has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, you never know.
And viewers, check out the muscles on Kristin. I know in a few shows back, Kristin was talking about how she participates in CrossFit, and we were asking her to show us her muscles on this show. Well, here they are. Check it out. My goodness, girl.
Thank you. I work hard for those muscles.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so you were talking about new skills. Okay, I want to know too tell me about this experience.
Yeah, so this was also part of the cowboy games there. And I have luckily thrown axe before. We've got tapped on the lakeshore here, and I've done it camping before. It was fun to revisit it. I definitely have a knack for it. I actually kind of enjoy it. It feels powerful and strong. So that's a snap of me getting ready to throw that axe at the wood board there. So now I heard, Tina, you shared that you recently had an axe throwing experience as well.
I did. I visited my brother in Madison, and he took us to go axe throwing, and I had zero experience. I didn't know what to expect. And it sticks. So it's interesting because, I mean, from my perspective, you have to have that certain form. Like I had no idea that it was going to be a two-handed throw. And then I threw, luckily that video clip caught a throw that stuck. Plenty of throws like pinged off the wall or like did not make their target.
Right.
There's a lot that kind of goes into it, but it was super fun and it was super, like I felt like it was a good workout and it was a great hangout. And so I'm really looking forward to checking out Tapped on the Lakeshore.
Right. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've been there, but it is so much fun. And it's a great thing to do with friends. And I don't know, there's something that's powerful and fun about it, I guess. Maybe it's like those survival instincts in us,
Right. I think so. I mean, I think there's that. I think it's even just, orienting yourself to a new skill. Like, wow, I had no idea I could do that, but I did it, right? It's pretty cool.
Good.
And then of course, like, doing better than your brother or your, no.
Well, I think I managed to, Connor, I agree. We have done Balloon Glow for years. It's so exciting. And my favorite thing about Balloon Glow is how the balloons and when they're firing the fuel for that, how it reflects off the river.
Right. I totally agree. It's so beautiful. And there's something, I don't know, so exciting about that flame. Like the flame is usually beautifully colored too. And there's just so much power, it really kind of growls and roars. I love it.
Yeah. It's warm. Good morning from Fond du Lac. I love it. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Kristin, tell us about this.
So this was the hike, and there was a picture of Audrey and Race and I kind of on top of this mountain, but we chose to do this mountain. It was very close to where we were staying out there, and we decided we were strong enough to go tackle it, and it was quite a climb. At times we were kind of climbing straight up and down, but it was an awesome workout. I got a little out of breath at one point, I think between the heat and the elevation change. I had to pause for a little bit going up, but I mean, we made it to the top, and again, the views were just absolutely stunning. We could see a 360 view from the top of this mountain from the summit. So never done that before. That was another new thing.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. An 1,100 foot elevation gain. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I've hiked before too, where elevation changes. And sometimes when it's that drastic, as when your oxygen changes, you really have to like focus on taking those steps going forward.
Right. Yeah. We got about 3/4 of the way up, and I just like couldn't get a full breath of oxygen. And so we just paused a little bit, and I, got my inner yogi going and took some big breaths, and we had packed like water and snacks. So I had an apple. So I ate a half an apple too, just to give me a little like blood sugar boost in case. I mean, we'd eaten a really awesome breakfast, but sometimes you just need that like juice and that sugar to keep going. And so once we paused, then we got up to the top and hung out, like I said, had snacks, and there were other people up there. And yeah, so the picture on the right, this is probably about maybe half to 3/4 of the way up. We weren't even at the top yet in that picture, but it was so cool to be up there. And we like took a bunch of silly pictures of us climbing on the rocks. The boys thought we were like on the edge of a mountain, which we were on the edge of a mountain, but it didn't feel that extreme when we were up there. So
was it cooler up there? I mean, you guys are still in your shorts and tank tops. Did the temperature kind of change because of that elevation, or in Arizona, is it still warm?
It was still, the sun was blazing hot. We had a little bit more of a breeze up there, which was nice, but we headed over there maybe around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. So by the time we got up, it was around noon. So it was pretty warm. And we had taken a pretty good pace climbing up as well. So once we got up there, then we could just like sit and relax and, like I said, have a snack and take in the like beautiful, amazing views all around us. The city of Phoenix surrounded us as far as we could see, and it was amazing.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing your adventure with us. It's almost like we got to go. I have to say, so Stephen says, good morning from Fond du Lac. I love Manitowoc. And Stephen, we could not agree with you more.
Right.
And he says, I've gone on trails here in Wisconsin with my
Weimaraner.
What is that? I have no idea. I don't know what that means.
That's a dog. That's a feeder dog, isn't it?
Oh, I thought maybe it was some sort of like hot air balloon or something.
Yeah, so I mean the whole idea, before I forget, speaking of love in Manitowoc, I love Manitowoc too. Check out my new mug, guys.
Kristin, I love it. Okay, So that did not come from your trip. Where did you get such a cool mug?
This cup is from the store at the marina. Doug had some days off when I got back and the girls are off of school. And so we stopped in the marina store because they have awesome brands and cool stuff in there. And Doug's like, I feel like you should have this mug. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I should too. So
I like the way Doug thinks.
Yeah. So I bought myself this cool mug when I got back.
Oh, Connor says he's never been to Balloon Glow, but he's looking forward to it this year. He said he joked with the guys from the freighters to come in through the river for a special experience. Oh my gosh, Connor, you are right. That would be the coolest photo. Can you imagine a huge freighter going past all of the balloons lit up along the riverside?
Right. Oh, Steve just said it's a German hunting dog, but he doesn't hunt. He just enjoys his dog. I love it.
I learned something new. Thank you very much for telling us that.
So, one of those things, it's like, I loved Manitowoc's too, Stephen, and I feel so rejuvenated when I come back. Like, there's that old saying, like, distance makes the heart go fonder. And I just came back, first of all, with a new appreciation for Doug and everything that he does to help me go and do these adventures. Like, it's not easy for him to work and take care of the girls and do all these things that he is always helpful and always a partner with me, but having to do it completely by yourself is a different thing. And so, the girls were excited to see me. I think Doug and I genuinely missed each other after spending a lot of time together in the last year. And, there's something to be said too about kind of going off and having an adventure, remember who you are a little bit. So like, who am I away from my marriage, or who am I away from my kids, and just kind of remember, like, what do I enjoy doing, or what do I want to try on my own?
Right. At your core, who is base level Kristin? Who is Kristin who stands apart? Not mom Kristin, not entrepreneur Kristin, just Kristin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I came back loving my girls even more, and loving Doug more, and all of those amazing things because I had that time to kind of reflect and reset a little bit. So.
Yeah, that is awesome. Highly recommend anytime a person can get away to reset like that. And it doesn't even have to be such an epic adventure, but if you can have an epic adventure, all the better. If you can challenge yourself to do new things like, lassoing the steer, riding in a hot air balloon, axe throwing, it's just cool to know that, even as adults, we're still capable of having new experiences, new adventure. Heck, today I even learned a new word about a kind of dog. So
you just never know. You never know. Yeah. And I mean, there's tons of adventures even here in the state of Wisconsin or in the Midwest that you can go and tackle. Like I said, I was fortunate to get to tackle a much bigger adventure this time.
Nice. Hey, you shared a quote. Let's talk about this awesome quote. It says, and one day she discovered that she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back because her passion burned brighter than her fears. I feel like that kind of sums up the experience you were just talking about.
Right. So when I watched your axe throwing video ahead, Tina, and was thinking about this trip a little bit, and just thinking about like being able to feel strong and capable is so important. And that desire to go and do those things or show your strength sometimes has to overrun your fears. Like I definitely have fears, like, is the plane going to crash on my way there? And then Doug will be, is it called a widow when the wife dies?
A widower.
Yeah, is that what's called for a man?
A widower, yeah.
I don't know why I'm having a mental problem with that today, but yeah, like, oh my gosh, he's going to become a widower. My girls aren't going to have a mom. Like, you can have 101 reasons why not to go do something or why to not start something or why to not try something, even in our everyday here at home. And so sometimes just going and saying like, I'm going to be fierce and I'm strong and I'm capable. And you know what? It's all going to be okay is a good thing. And it, again, reminds you that like, look how capable you are. And then you can just push out into like exceptionalness.
Yeah. Stephen, we need your help again with a word.
Let me just take a drink of coffee on that word.
Right, but there is no time like the present. And you're right, being fierce, being bold, being strong, having that confidence in yourself to have those experiences, it's life-changing. Don't put it off if you have a chance. And so often I think we do let fear talk us out of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, it would have been easy, to say, oh, Doug's not gonna be okay with the girls, or oh, it's so much work to coordinate care for the girls while I'm gone that maybe I shouldn't go, or it's so easy to come up with those reasons why not. So don't let yourself get wrapped up in those fears or the excuses of why not to do it. Just go and enjoy the adventure.
Right. And I think it actually sets a good example for the girls, right? As they're growing and developing and they're going to be turned into women, to
Right.
see what benefits there are,
Right.
that you went away and you had this adventure, that you came back refreshed, strong, it's just setting such a good example and demonstrating, how they can live a purposeful life too.
Right. And I even think sometimes for some of my other girlfriends, they look at it and they think the idea of going away is so big that it's hard to fathom that opportunity. And so just even being able to set an example, even if it's not something they do for 5 years, just for them to see how it can be done is a good thing. Or to see that, the kids will really be okay with their dad for 5 days or whatever it is, like it will all be okay.
And one thing that's like a pitfall, I think, when really looking forward to an adventure and planning it, is trying to keep your expectations in check, right? Because sometimes an awesome adventure can be sort of torpedoed if a person feels bad because, oh, I was expecting this, or I was really looking forward to it to unfold a certain way, and then it doesn't, right? So it's really important to grasp an adventure and plan an adventure, but also to be open to which way it rolls and to be kind of flexible, because you can't possibly plan out every outcome, and you don't want to. I mean, that's part of the adventure, right? Is the surprise of what happens. But I've seen people be disappointed or let down with their adventure because it didn't go exactly as they had envisioned in their mind.
Right. Yeah. The only expectation I had for this trip was that I knew I needed some good amount of hours in the sun, which I was thankful for. The desert dryness agrees with me well. I came back and said to Doug, I think maybe we should consider retiring in Arizona. I very much enjoy the hot and the dry and the sun. So that's like the ongoing joke now is, how do you make that work? But
you've got a few years to figure that out yet, right?
That's right.
Hey, we're talking about, being fierce and being strong and being passionate. Yesterday, I came across this movie. Now, this movie is from 2015. I never watched it then. It's called Suffragette. It has Helena Bonham Carter. It has Meryl Streep. It has Carey Mulligan. So the reason it came across my radar is I saw this blurb talking about suffragettes. And now this is specifically suffragettes in Britain, but they were exposed to so much violence and intimidation that they actually taught themselves jujitsu, so that when they were protesting, when they were marching for the right for women to vote, and they would become intimidated, they had a way to protect themselves. And they started calling it suffragitsu. But so then I was like, wait, what? There's a whole story here. And I watched the movie yesterday, and I mean, it left me in tears. What these women, that they were dedicated enough to impact their entire lives and to put it all out on the line for this belief. And I think what surprised me, my lack of history knowledge, I guess, is that this wasn't just one election cycle that they made some noise about the right to vote, that this was going on for like 50 plus years, that there were generations of women that this was important enough to them. And the fact that I didn't know that made me feel terrible. So I think part of the tears were because of what they went through, and part of the tears was for my own ignorance, because here I am, I have that right. I didn't have to do anything to earn that right. And so I darn well better take care of that right, because holy smokes, what they went through to earn that right it blew my mind.
Right. Now that particular movie was based on the voting movement in Britain. Is that right?
In Britain, right.
Okay.
So I don't know if the same violence or anything happened, here. I hardly know the story of suffragism stateside. So right. I've got some digging in to do.
Right.
But I think in my mind's eye, when you study history, it's like a paragraph this big, right? And then you move on to the next major thing in history. So kind of in my mind's eye, and I'm embarrassed to say this, is, I knew the suffragettes had like white dresses and sashes and, marched for what they believed in. But I think I kind of thought it was maybe an election cycle or two. Like, I didn't realize this was big. This is something they actually had to like fight for. And a lot of times their husbands weren't in support of it. Like in the movie Suffragette, their husbands were encouraged to shame them and to say like, oh, no, my wife is suffering. Maybe she needs to go to the asylum. She must be crazy for wanting this, not wanting to act like a proper wife.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. How did you come across it, Tina? Where did you find it?
I don't know what I was looking at, and the concept of suffragitsu came up. You know what? I think it was this image that I saw, suffragitsu, and I was like, what? What's suffragitsu? And so then I like went down the rabbit hole, and then that's when I came up with this actual explanation of suffragitsu being the jujitsu that the suffragettes taught themselves. And then I was like, wait, because they were exposed to violence and intimidation. So then I kept going further down the rabbit hole and realized, oh, Suffragette was this movie. And then I said to Jason, what are you doing right now? I'm turning on a movie.
You have to watch it with me. I'm so curious about this. So first of all, I'm with you. I don't want to say this, but this is the truth. I almost take my voting rights for granted. Right. And I know like last Thursday we had school board votes and state superintendent votes. And I like paused and said to Doug, I need to run over to the voting place and cast my vote. Even if it's just going to take me 5 minutes, I absolutely have to go do that. So I've always exercised, like been thankful for the chance to do that. And I've always done it. But it's a different thing to reflect back on history and understand everything that happened to get to that point. And my goodness, what a story.
Yeah, they in the movie at the beginning, it plays like some news clips. Now, I don't know if the news clips are just in the movie or if, they were historical news clips, but it has, like newscasters saying, women want the right to vote. And if they get the right to vote, then they're going to want to become, congressmen and senators, and they're going to want to become judges. And we just can't have that. The woman's place is in the house, taking care of her husband. And one of the big issues too is back at that time, women didn't even have rights over their own children. So like the women that were becoming suffragettes, and if their husbands were opposed, they would just take the children, and the women had nothing, no rights, no recourse.
Oh my gosh. So interesting. If I can sneak this in, I would love to watch it, and then I'll have to send you my like thoughts on it. But
yeah, would love to talk to you more about it. But it just really, this quote really, sums it up for that too. And so when there is something that you believe in, when there is something that we're passionate about, we need to be fierce, we need to be strong, and we need to make some noise about it.
Absolutely. And I just want to, because, we have Steve and Connor and all these amazing guys on with us today. Like that quote, you can put he in place of she and do the same things. We all struggle with fears. We all struggle with overcoming things. And so anytime that you're able to do that, whether you're male or female, it's exciting to be able to do that. And so
yeah, absolutely.
Don't let our meme with the pronoun she in it deter you from taking in the meaning of that piece.
Right. Super good point. Super good point. Wow. What an awesome conversation for a Tuesday morning. Kristin, it is so good to see you back. Thank you so much for talking about your adventure. Thank you so much for talking about, passion and being fierce and, just even how we got to where we are today. This has really been cool and enjoyable, and I'm already looking forward to next time.
I know. I missed you guys so much, and I'm so thankful for everybody who hopped on to hear about my adventure. It was really great, and I was very thankful to have this awesome platform to share.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody, too, who took a moment to chat with us today. We really appreciate it. We will look forward to seeing you next time on Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Bye now.